having this meeting and listening to the residents and their concerns. And I agree with Mr. Foligno. I believe there should be a pause on the rate in place. Just a few quick things. There's three kind of glaring issues that I want to point out that are the reasons why we should pause. There's a huge variance between the meters, and every other municipality in the area has a variance of 1 to 3 to 5% between the meters. Ours is somewhere in the numbers of 2.5. And this is Rochester and Oxford, and it just doesn't make sense. Even reviewing the formula from the AWWA on their website, it gives three different options that a municipality can use, whether it's a hybrid, a flat fee, or a variance between the meter and the volume that they can use. The variance, once again, is still within the single-digit percentages. The second issue is the rate analysis does contain a huge amount of issues, or I should say flaws, because it holds the forward usage in there. One of the largest costs that the water facility has is wholesale water purchase. They're no longer milling engine blocks over there, so I'm assuming that the water usage and the cost is going to go down quite a bit. Last thing, you guys do not have an official operations and maintenance cost plan that reflects these new rates. So just those three things I'd like to point out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to clarify one thing that Matt brought note of. The variability that he's talking about, all the surrounding municipalities, so Oxford, Lake Orion, Rochester, Imlay City, Washington Township, when you look at the level of variance that they have between the size of the meter and the residential home, there is either one, no variance whatsoever. For 1 inch, 3/4 inch, or 5/8 of an inch. There's no variance whatsoever. All the difference is on the actual usage of the resident. Or two, when he said that there is a little bit, it's in the single-digit percentages, like 3 to 5%, and ours is 2.5. That's 250%. So originally on option number one, we had a 5/8 and a 3/4 inch meter at $50, and then a 1 inch meter at $125. That's a 250% increase, not 3 to 5%. So it's a huge disparity between what we see in the surrounding communities, and there really is there's no reason for that. So I just wanted to make sure those numbers were clarified a little bit. Not that you didn't do a good job, I just really want to draw attention to that key factor.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Let's move on to our new business. I do have with us on the phone John Kasor of Municipal Analytics that we are in contract with that did do the rate study. So he is here on the phone with us. Should the council have any direct questions or like any explanations? Currently what you have, let's go with the email with the other rates. So last night we adjusted the rates singly. What we have in our hand are for water. Yesterday was for sewer. So when we were approving it, you realized it was only for sewer. That was all that was requested. So I asked John to really quickly if he could run the numbers for water. So that is what you have in your hand right now. The rest of the packet is just information that I just grabbed today. We have the action item from that July 18th, 2022 meeting. I think this is where most of the discussion keeps coming from, where people say that they were told that their water rates were that their bill was gonna go down. Part of the summary here from past President Melzon, it talks to, let's find the second paragraph at the bottom. It talks to that due to the elimination of the minimum bill usage of 10,000 gallons per quarter, a lower volume user with just 3,000 gallons of water per quarter will see a reduction in their quarterly bill from $55.50 to $33.70. Sewer costs would also decrease from $12.90 to $70.40 per quarter, and this amounts to a combined water and sewer savings of $64.30 per quarter for a low volume customer. I think that's the only thing I could find in writing of where somebody stated that you would see a savings. Going from 10,000 to 3,000 gallons per quarter, I mean, that wasn't even I've yet to see anyone use, it's either zero, no one uses 3,000 gallons, it's 4, I've seen 5. but not 3. So that's the only thing I could find.
But there are people that use 2,000 gallons. My friend's mother on Gate Street uses 2,000 gallons.
Okay.
Does no laundry, does some dishes, takes a shower once a week. So there are people that use 2,000
Okay,
gallons.
and if that was the case, they would see that kind of reduction,
Yeah,
but it's
right.
only for that type of usage. So that was not a good example to use and didn't apply across the board. So that was the only thing I could find there. And within that was the rate study that we see, and all the breakdown. Next, I went through, it's a stapled portion, it says water rate at the top. Went back to 2019 when this whole water rate analysis kind of started here at the council, and went through everything trying to find the history of how we've gotten to where we've gotten. Started back in August of 19 with an asset management plan, with our SAW grant. We had some presentations, we had a capital project proposal. There was 2020 is when we heard the public hearing for the first water rate increase, which was to go into effect, but then in August of 2020, we deferred it till January, given it was mid-COVID. Those rates went into effect January of 21. We had our utility rate study in October of 21. It went out for RFP. That RFP was accepted by Municipal Analytics, or awarded, I should say, in December of 21. By March of 22, Mr. Kaser came and gave a presentation, and then in July of 22 is where the rate was adopted. All is supply, everything else in the packet are just the minutes, so it's just the verification of all of those dates and times. I put in here, I found in the deep dive our meter numbers, sizes. The best I could find was from October of 21, from all of our 1 inch to, from 3/4, 1 inch, all the way up to 6 inch. That is the list there. Then the next one is a snapshot. It's like a picture of what we must have been handed out at some point. Those were the rates, and that's the breakdown of what went into effect in January of 21. Following is the resolution that when we put the pause in December, which currently, actually, in reading it, we were mistaken. The water rates are not into effect until June. So currently, we are still under the old billing, and they will get one more bill under the old rate structure. This does not go into effect until June. 15 or 16, it's the
16.
One
15
day,
is the
yeah.
cutoff, so 16 will be
16
the
is
new
when it
rates.
starts. So currently, we're still under the old rates, we'll get
Yes.
one more bill, so we do have some time here. I don't know if that's enough, but that's where we're at with that. So, and then I threw in the end your water rate study, so that, I know we've seen it before, but I'm not sure that all of us have it, so I just wanted to make sure. So that is what we have here. The floor is open for discussion of the item.
I just wanted to say thank you, President Poznansky, for putting together so quickly the 4-year history of the water rate structure discussions that we've been having, and how you cranked it out in such a short amount of time this morning.
Yep, I think we need the most information we can get. So,
Yeah.
you know, it just was a matter of literally sitting there and going through it all.
Right.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kaysor, or?
So to understand this chart here, this is water only.
Yes,
So if I'm using 10,000 gallons, I have a 5/8 inch pipe. So my bill would be $39 plus $19.50
yes, plus the sewer that we approved last night.
plus the sewer.
Right,
So plus, yeah,
Right.
45 from the meter, and
Oh,
then
that's right.
680 per gallon.
yep.
So another 68 and 45 on top of that.
Okay,
And in talking to Tim today,
that's actually lower than what we have currently, isn't it?
it is,
For me, it'd be a for my individual case, like with a 1-inch meter, it's almost
I
double.
mean, I just paid my bill, you were there.
Yeah.
It was $168.
Okay,
That's the minimum.
yeah.
Yes, you use under 10,000, you use 10,000 or less. In talking to Tim today, the way he explained it, there really are no 5/8 meters. He explained it back in the day, they used to call it a 5/8 because it was shorter. It didn't have to do with the width or the thickness, it had to do with the length. So, they would call it a 3/4 5/8, and now they call it today a 3/4 short. And the amount that are, of those are really old, so they probably will, if there's any left, they will be going out of service or breaking eventually. So we will be getting away from those. But that was the best definition I could find from Tim, and to answer your question from last night, Shelley.
Because according to that, well, see mine offhand, the quantities, there we go. It says there's 1,360 5/8, 3/4,
Well, 3/4, it's mostly 3/4.
mostly 3/4.
But again, that was from October of
21.
21.
21.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure there's some differences there. I'm sure they're not
Right,
drastic.
but these are probably pretty close for
It's- yeah.
discussion's sake.
Yes, and that was the best I could do in a amount of time.
You didn't go out and measure them all?
So, usage, meter cost, there's no other fees that we'd see, or is there?
What are you asking? There's 2 fixed and 2 variable. Unless you
Yeah,
have
so we have
irrigation, then you're gonna have
the
variable.
flow or the usage, and then the meter, 2 different meter fees. We don't have the maintenance fee anymore,
It's all combined in these rates.
everything's combined. Just verifying so everyone can hear. Yeah, so that would,
And I did talk with Mr. Kasor, and he agrees. I mean, we should be reassessing already, considering it was reassessed last, where did I say it? When did we get the presentation?
September.
No, that's when you got the document. He actually came and went over it
March.
in March.
And then adoption was
22?
July, yes.
So we're right in that area where it's been a year and Ford has left. How should I say? They didn't leave, they've shuttered. So, yeah, it's time that they're reassessed anyways.
Well, as I calculate this, my personal bill would go up $20. That's a lot different number than what we were talking about yesterday, when she was talking about almost $300.
she's
Well,
got a
she has a
1-inch.
different meter.
So my base, or our base for a 1-inch meter is 162 almost, just for the meters with no usage at all.
Because with the 1-inch meter, both the water and sewer go up, plus the base quarterly charge.
No, you're still gonna get charged the same amount for your
Okay,
water
and the
rate,
quarterly
but you
charge
do,
goes
yes,
up
Your fixed cost.
250%.
right.
250%, not
Yeah.
3% like the surrounding municipalities, if it even increases. Majority of municipalities in the area have no variance in the fixed cost.
For residential,
Correct. 1 inch and below. 1, 3/4, and 5/8 are the same. Trustee Edwards, you said you have a 5/8 short, a 3/4 short? It sounds
That's
like-
what I'm assuming at this point, yes,
Okay, so
based on my bill.
you're looking at this page right here with the breakdown for the entire village?
Yep,
So the majority of the village is on a 3/4, okay? Last night, option 2, increase the 3/4 meter sewer rate only by $17.50 per quarter. The 5/8 went down by $5. The 1 inch went down by $7.50. So yeah, those went down incrementally, but the 3/4 increased by just that much, and that's where the majority of the residents are at, with the 3/4. That's why I was trying to say earlier, this is a step in the wrong direction for the entire village.
majority.
So I know, I'm just, look, I have to do public math in my job often, and it's painful. really caution to do any public math right now. I think there's a lot to this equation to fully appreciate the situation. And we have our expert on the phone advising that a reanalysis, a reassessment be completed. So I really, really don't think that we should try to figure out, well, mine's gonna go down or mine's gonna go up. Everyone's gonna have a different situation in the room. I think it's evident here that the majority of people in Romeo are gonna have a worse situation on their hands. I really would hope that we could just pause this, form a subcommittee, reassess with village resident involvement, and then move forward and make sure that we adopt the appropriate billing structure.
Can we ask John Kazor how he came up with these numbers?
John, are you there? Did you hear the question?
I think I heard, how did I come up with the numbers?
Correct. Could you speak to that?
How much of a detail do you want? So let me start by saying that I'll start with the water side. So every year the village approves a budget for expenditures on all of their funds, including water and sewer. The budget includes, for the most part, operating expenses. If there's debt service, that would be included. And if there's capital being planned, that would be included. The objective of doing a rate study is to find out what the costs are, not just for that 1 year, but for some future years as well. And the model that we're using can go out as far as we want it to go, but we focus on the 5 to 10 year horizon. And looking at the budget that was adopted, we inflated each of the line items based on what we estimated the costs would go up. So wages go up at a percentage, and healthcare goes up at a percentage, wholesale water costs go up at a percentage, electricity goes up. So those were all looked at and reviewed, and we applied assumptions to those. And then that determined the total cost for operations. On the capital side, the village doesn't yet have a formal capital improvement plan. Based on the assets in your system, we estimated what is the appropriate level, that kind of a minimum that you should be investing in the system to ensure that it is sustained and maintained properly. So that was added into the calculation as well. So then we look at those total costs, and we look at your total customer base and usage. Now you have two separate water systems, two separate water supplies, one budget and one department that manages both of those systems on the water side. So what we did is we went through and looked at which costs are assigned to each of those systems. And those systems are the village system, that's the side that's to the west of the village. Water is coming from wells and being treated and supplied. The industrial park area is provided by Great Lakes Water Authority. Force or reasoning behind this study was to evaluate the rate structure to ensure that residents and customers won't be, minimally be impacted if Ford were to close. So we looked at switching from a rate structure that was based entirely on usage to one that also included recovering a portion of the fixed costs from a fixed charge. And that's the ready to serve charge or meter charge that we see on the proposed rate schedule. So we determined approximately what the fixed costs of the system are. On the industrial park side, the bill that the village gets from Great Lakes Water Authority, 60% of the costs that are allocated to the village by Great Lakes Water Authority are fixed. Does not matter how much water flows through that pipe. So allocating those fixed costs to all of the customers to recover it through a fixed charge is the appropriate way to do that, to make sure that the system is sustained financially. And the reason is if Ford leaves, which seems to now be the direction that they're going, the connection that you have with the Great Lakes Water Authority does not change. So that's one of the variables that goes into their calculation of what you're getting charged. So you're now saddled with a substantial cost, and if Ford is paying only based on their usage, and they turn off the taps and walk away, they pay nothing, which means all of those costs of the system on the Great Lakes side are then spilled over to all of the other customers. So the objective was to establish a rate structure that is consistent with American Water Works Association industry standards, that complies with a cost recovery methodology where you're recovering fixed costs from a fixed charge. Now, we can't recover all of the fixed costs from a fixed charge because that would make that meter charge substantially higher. So there are some fixed costs that are in the usage charge as well. But we tried to smooth it out as best we can to minimize the impact on as many customers as possible. It is impossible to change a rate structure and have an equal impact on all of the customers. In looking at the data that I've seen and how the rate structure was previously structured, smaller customers were subsidizing larger customers. First of all, you had the minimum usage that everybody was paying even if they didn't use that amount, which is considered less than ideal in rate setting today. We were also seeing that a lot of the fixed costs of the system, and I'll explain what those are, were being paid on a usage charge, even though a large portion of those costs were driven by larger customers. So the fixed costs of the system, if you think about, kind of peel back the dirt and look at the pipes under the ground and your whole system. You have a network of pipes, you have pumps, you have storage capacity, towers and reservoirs, that sort of thing. And you have wells to supply it. When engineers design a system, they look at who the users are and what the planned usage is so that they can appropriately size the pipes and the pumps and the storage towers and the wells so that your system is reliable and safe. So when they're looking at how many customers you're going to have on a system, they want to make sure that pipe size is appropriate. So when they're looking at, are we putting in a 10-inch pipe or a 24-inch pipe or a 36-inch pipe to supply water, they want to make sure that that pipe is going to meet all of the needs, is actually going to exceed the needs of all of the customers, including fire suppression and high usage. So the entire system is overbuilt based on the number of customers, their potential usage, and their estimated peaks. So when they size those pipes, they're determining that based on what number of connections there are and what size those connections are. And we use meter size to determine that because the meter size is what limits the amount of water that can actually enter a premise. So you can't get more water through a 5/8 pipe than you can fit through a 5/8 pipe. A 3/4 pipe has 1.5 times the flow capacity of a 5/8 meter. A 1-inch meter has 2.5 times the capacity of a 5/8 meter. So when we use the 5/8 meter as the basis, then we're looking at a multiplier for the fixed cost portion to say that the 1-inch meter is 2.5 times the capacity of a 5/8 meter. A 3/4 inch is 1.5 times. A 2 inch is 5 times. A 3 inch, so there's multipliers of all that. These are engineering numbers measured by how much water can pass through a certain diameter pipe in a minute. So that those are the flow numbers that are used. We chose to use AWWA standard ratios because you have not gone through an engineering study on your system to decide something else. And we weren't going to just pick a number out of the air. This is a defensible, acceptable ratio that is used in many, many places. There are other rate methodologies that can be used. One of them is based purely on usage with no minimum. As you know, you've had the minimum usage plus some charge on top of that. You've had additional charges as well. There's other ways to do this. Our objective was to appropriately recover as much of the fixed costs from a fixed charge as we could put in the rates and still be reasonable. And reasonable means different things to different people. So the rate structure, again, was designed to ensure that any customer that has a connection to the system is paying a portion of the fixed cost, that infrastructure cost, from their ready-to-serve fee. So when Ford has a 8-inch meter, they're going to be paying substantially more than somebody that has a 1-inch meter or a 3/4-inch meter. And that's appropriate because their connection is so much larger, which means all of the whole system has to be so much larger to accommodate that one connection. And Ford has several connections. So when Ford closes, the system doesn't automatically shrink. The system is there, it's in the ground, it's in the towers, it's in the pumps. That's not going to change. So those systems have to be maintained. So it's appropriate that Ford or any other customer that leaves the system but still has that connection and the capacity to turn on that tap anytime they want continues to pay the ready-to-serve charge to recover the fixed portion of the costs. Now, with Ford leaving, the village will need to go and renegotiate their contract with GLWA, which means all the variables that were in there and assumed will change, and we've known that. That's why the recommendation was to adopt the rates and then revisit it about this time this year to recalculate with a better sense of what's going on with Ford. And if we don't yet have the numbers from Great Lakes, we would revisit it again when we actually have those numbers from Great Lakes. So that's the process that's going on. It's the same for sewer. Sewer's a little simpler in some respects, except the village is selling capacity to the township on the sewer side. So there's some other math that goes in there. The objective is to recover the costs to keep the system safe, operable, reliable over time. And part of that does involve reinvestment in the system. There are too many systems across the country that have underinvested and deferred maintenance for years, if not decades, and the accumulation is beginning to be pretty expensive. So what we're trying to do is put the rates and structures so the village can start generating the revenue to start paying for deferred maintenance on these systems. We can adjust that once we know what your actual capital plan is. It might mean rates go up even higher. It might mean that they go down lower. But we've put in there what seems to be a reasonable estimate of what needs to be recovered from rates so that the system can be maintained. That's how we calculated it. And I can talk about line items or whatever, but that's the overall process.
And John, if we were to say, okay, right now, we want to relook at the rates and get a new study done, about how long are we looking at? What's the time frame?
I'll ask you a couple of questions in return. Have you adopted, or are you must be getting close to approving your 23-24 budget?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. So once that's done, we can put that into the model. We can update the current year budget based on kind of our best guess of where you're going to end the year. I would like to be able to say we have the new numbers from Great Lakes, but that will not happen in the next couple of months. I can't imagine they'll have it turned around that quickly. So we will still be making assumptions about what the Great Lakes costs will be, and how to spread those over the customers on the industrial park side. The other variable is capital planning. If you have a capital plan, that would be very helpful. If you don't, we have to relook at the numbers that we have in the model that says we're trying to recover this much from the rates for capital needs. And again, that's right now we're using a number that's based largely on depreciation, but we can base it on something else. As far as the rate structure goes, we can look at another rate structure, but we have to think about what the policy objectives are of the board. And those need to be articulated. The policy direction that we were given by the previous board was we want to make sure that there's a readiness to serve charge so that the costs of the system that are being driven partly by Ford's connections are assigned to Ford if they were to leave. So, and I was just looking, if Ford left, one analysis I did on the water side, Ford would be paying about $60,000 for water based on the meter sizes and about $30,000 for sewer. If we go back to a rate structure that is usage only, that $60,000 and $30,000 would be spread over all the other customers. So that means everybody else's rates would go up that much to recover those costs. So that's the implication of changing this. Part of the desire to get this adopted last year was to make sure that something was in place before Ford made a final determination. So that was part of the driving force. If we want to backpedal, I don't know what risk that exposes the village to from a challenge from Ford, if the rates were to change in some way that negatively impacted them from what they're expecting. So that's an unknown. But to answer your question, I think we could turn the rates around within a couple of weeks if we have all that data.
But Ford still owns the real estate, don't they?
Correct.
So
That's
don't
correct.
they still responsible for the ready-to-serve portion?
That's what he's saying, correct.
If this goes into effect.
Right.
If it doesn't,
If-
we're
if
on
it-
the old system.
Right. If this rate does not go into effect, they will continue paying for their minimum 10,000 gallons plus whatever extra fees there were on there. And since they will have virtually no usage, that would be their total cost.
It would be drastically less.
So the fixed cost with the new rate structure totals about 90,
Yes.
just to have it there.
Yeah, we've yet to see, Caroline pulled their latest water bill before she left, and we've yet to see a loss. But in the decommissioning, they are still using a lot of water. They're cleaning the plant, they're power washing stuff. So we've yet to see much of a decrease there, but obviously it's coming.
And the negotiations with Great Lakes will be, and I would encourage the village to reach out to your engineer to start that process of opening that back up again, now that Ford has made the declaration that they are indeed shuttering the facility. It would be good to start sitting down with Great Lakes and finding out what data they need to recalculate the village's costs.
Right. And and our engineers are coming out this Thursday, to the village, so there will be a discussion.
Timely.
Yep.
So we don't really know where we're at. We should probably put this on hold.
I guess,
Well,
well,
currently,
we
kind of
can, we
is.
can see what we
We're
get
not.
going, see if we can get the rate study, if we can get everything going, because we've got till June.
Oh, yeah,
right?
we've got all those things we
So we
need to do.
needed to, well, how much time,
We have till our May meeting to try and see
Okay.
how many of these questions we can get
Yeah.
answered.
Right.
And then at May, we can relook at it and go, okay, yeah, we're gonna wait another cycle, we're gonna
Yeah.
do another,
3 weeks,
Whatever.
4 weeks?
Well, sounds like we got a plan. Do we need to have a motion to rescind the one we made yesterday?
I just,
in order to do it, yes?
I guess I'll make a motion to rescind our motion from yesterday to establish the sewer rates.
so they're gonna go back to what, they, the 50/50 and 125 one.
Yeah,
We're not getting rid of it, we're just changing it back to what it was,
Correct.
before yesterday.
not before, not what it is currently.
Correct, because we're not in
Yeah.
that period yet.
Which is higher for the majority. This is the, all we did was change the fixed cost for the new rate structure.
No, it would be lower for the majority.
Lower for the majority.
What you're, are you, do you have yesterday's?
Yeah,
Okay.
if the majority are on 3/4, you're, oh, yeah, you're right, 67 to 50.
So-
So it would be higher for the majority.
Yesterday, we changed it
Yeah.
to,
So it actually made it less expensive.
if we go back to the original.
Less expensive for the majority, less expensive for the majority, if we go back to option one.
Yeah, if we go back.
Right.
But if we're looking at reevaluating at next month's meeting, this won't, and none of it will go into
Doesn't matter
effect.
anyway, yeah.
So instead of jumping back and forth, let's just hold off till May's meeting.
Okay.
But don't
is
forget,
My thought.
because now you have one at one and one at the other.
This is what we got.
And how, I heard Mr. Kaser throw out a word of caution with Ford, and what's the time frame on that? Like, do we have to have this hammered out before it becomes an issue with them?
It
Is
depends
there-
on when they close and when these rates would go into effect, and they could come back and say, well, you're doing this because of us, and even if they do go into effect, they could still not apply to them if they wanted to argue that.
Okay.
Okay, are we,
So our engineers are the ones that are going to talk to Gray Lakes.
Yep.
yeah, it would be HRC, Mike
HRC.
McDonald.
All right. Yeah, we definitely need
Okay.
to look at that.
Okay, well,
So
my.
we've got a plan then.
There is a motion on the floor. Was there a support?
I guess I'll,
I think it- just
can I
say-
take that
Oh,
back?
Sure, yep, no problem.
We need any movement just to table this until May.
It was discussion, we discussed, and nothing was, it will be put on
Perfect.
May's agenda.
What was on there was discussion anyways, wasn't it?
Okay.
On the agenda.
Can I ask when the May meeting is?
I'd have to
Fif-
look. Is it
Yeah.
15?
20,
15th, May 15th.
May 15th.
Okay. I can send a request for what we need to update the model. I will also talk to your DPW to make sure we have the meter sizes correct. If in fact they are almost all 3/4 inch with a short, as you said, then we want to make sure we've got those meters
Right.
structured right. We might then move from a 5/8 inch basis to a 3/4 inch basis for the ratios. That doesn't change anything. The ratio between, if we use a 3/4 inch, the ratio between a 3/4 inch and a 1 inch meter is 1.33, which is the same as it would be if it was a 5/8 inch basis. It's just we're now using a 3/4 inch basis.
Okay, yeah, I will,
So you're basically saying a 1 inch would be 33% higher than a 3/4?
Which is what it is now.
30.
Which is the difference between a 1.5 and a 2.5 or a a 1 or a 1.3 is the same.
Okay, I will be looking for your email, and we can get those questions answered as best we can and see where we can get by the 15th.
I will send that to you tomorrow then.
Okay.
Thank you.
And again, if there's, I think we need to iron out some policy questions, so we might have some conversations about that too, just to make sure we're clear about what the policies are.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it, and we will be in touch, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you. I'll have a good evening.
Bye.
Phone call, David, can I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Okay, is there a possibility, if you're into reevaluation, people go out for an RFP to possibly get another look at the water analysis and the rate structure? Because we're going right from the same person that drew all this up to the same person. So I doubt if there's gonna be a new look at it.
We could, but in 3 weeks, we're not gonna be able to get another RFP and get another person
No.
approved.
And the cost to the taxpayers to that could be anywhere between 35 and 45,000 additional dollars on top of what we've already spent for the study he has done. So it would just be,
I think it's something to look at going forward, once we finally settle in a spot.
Fresh look.
Agreed. Okay, well, let us close as,
Can I just ask a quick question? So I think it's great to hear that we are reassessing the situation, because the last time this presentation was made was July of '22, was when Mr. Kazor came last, right? So we're reassessing the situation. We're gonna redetermine what the rate should be with a better definition of the problem set in May. So I think that is definitely a step in the right direction. What I do want to make sure that we avoid is how we got here today in the first place, where the new rates came out and there was really not a lot of socialization to the community. So is there going to be another presentation like Mr. Kazor did in July of '22 in May? Can we expect that, where residents can come and understand what the council is going to adopt, and we can engage then rather than after the fact and spend more time in this matter? How are we going to incorporate the community is what I'm trying to say.
Can we invite John Kazor to the May meeting, assuming we have all the numbers?
yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's all dependent on how
Yep.
far we get. But when we get there, I think that would be appropriate, whether that's May, whether that's when we get there.
Okay. I think it's great that we are open to reassessing the situation. So again, thank you for that. I just want to make one more point. Just because a household has a 1-inch meter, yes, I have the ability to put more water into wherever, water my sprinkler, water my lawn, or do whatever I want to do with it. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to actually use more water though. I get it. I have the ability to. Trustee Parker, you have a 1-inch meter too, right, in your house?
That's correct.
Okay, so you have the ability to, that does not necessarily mean you use as much as somebody with a 3/4 or a 3/4 short,
Yeah,
whatever.
respect saying Mary's got a 1-inch also.
So I think for the little guy, right, for the residents here, we really should not be the sponge to absorb and or subsidize any sort of massive cost loss, like board leaving or something like that. Now, the little people are gonna end up paying for that. I don't think that's the right choice, but again, I think it's great that we're reassessing this, and we'll see what May brings. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you all for the input.
Because now we totally understand how we got to where we got. Yeah, before that,
Yeah, I felt that was well
we had
needed.
no idea, we didn't know it
Yeah.
was
It's been a long process.
No clue.
The numbers are the
So,
numbers.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
it's been a long process.
You consult the residents, tell you what.
Okay, we'll close the,
Motion to adjourn,
oh,
please.
sorry.
We need to lobby a water park to go in. It uses a lot of water and no sewer.
You don't know the sore spot you're touching on right now.
I know, I remember that.
Motion by Parker.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's a motion by Parker, thank you.
Good night.
Good to hear you
All in
heard that.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Let us
Thanks for coming.
start our budget meeting at
Thank you, Plant Moran, for your
About
patience.
the road stream. building.
Well, that just, I don't know what
The
that's
guy
gonna
that
do
the
to your
last one-
position
I'm gonna turn it
with
off
this,
once
but,
you're- I gotta-
Oh, okay.
Good.
I'm gonna be back. Okay,
Good call. We got a roll call again?
all right, let's get this show on the road.
Always good.
we call our meeting to order for our budget workshop. We will pass on the pledge as we
Sure.
did it 30 minutes ago this
Pretty
time.
patriotic, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Could you call the roll?
Yes, Bartholomew, Edwards,
Here.
Fowler, Care,
Yes.
Parker,
Present.
Rosso,
Present.
President Poznanski.
Here.
We have 5 present.
Okay, oh geez, I think I have the wrong packet. That's less nice. Okay, so,
We're not doing it.
We just said no, sorry, Justin, we already did.
Pass.
okay, let's start off with the beginning.
All right,
Make a motion to approve the agenda. All right.
thank you.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, we move into our general fund.
All right, with the general fund, I did pass out, like yesterday, the orange paper is for the part of the general fund that is the police department. This is based on the conversation I had with Chief Dan. Since they are one of the
Sorry, Kevin,
bigger.
you said you passed it up, something out yesterday?
This
um,
orange piece.
Equivalent to what I passed out yesterday, a
Oh,
colored page.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, just
Okay.
similar to how I did it yesterday, a colored page, and since they are a very large part of the general fund, these were the items that were discussed between me and President Poznanski and Chief Dan.
It does not mean they are all working into the budget, just like yesterday, it was a wish list of,
Correct, so these are his concerns and what he's looking for in this budget. Otherwise that, and we could start in on the budget, everything in the general fund is our largest fund, does encompass a lot of items. I don't know how you guys want to proceed, this is a 7-page fund.
well, let's start off with the first one with our revenues.
Okay.
We do have quite a few different notes on here. Are there any particular questions regarding them or concern for numbers in any way here?
At this time, we do not know our exact amount of our community stabilization, do we? Okay. Just keep that in mind, please.
So the 1.1 is just an estimate based on,
Yeah, it's been pretty stable, so that's consistent with how we're budgeting with other communities as well. Like, we're not anticipating a drop, but as far as like that exact dollar, it's not out yet.
yeah, I guess the activity in 21 was just over $1 million, right? And then currently we're at 600.
You have a payment still forthcoming before June 30 that's not recorded.
Oh, I see, in May, okay.
I think you have one more coming. And I think we did, we talked about this, I think it's not in the budget, and when we do an amendment for June, we'll set it in there for what the exact is.
So that'll fall on this year.
It'll fall in fiscal 23.
So then our projected for the end should change, shouldn't stay at the same as the active?
Correct, like,
Okay.
we'll end up doing a budget amendment for
Okay,
fiscal
that's where I was
23.
confused with, but.
I don't know why it was lower for 23, but.
If there's no
With the
question.
grant revenue, it says something there, per state of Michigan, estimate dated 2/8.
That's your, yes, that's
23.
your revenue sharing that you get from the state, that is an exact number. That one, we do have their estimate.
And it'll be,
for-
well, you know, it'll be 520 for next year?
Yes.
Okay.
nothing on that page, let's move to the second. Where we have our village council, elections, our village clerk, and part of the treasurer is on this page, the total, her total runs into the next page.
I have one, it's not very much money here, but I just was curious that the village president's salary is $3,700. Why does it fluctuate up and down? I mean, it should be pretty constant year after year after year.
Well, that's true.
The 3,700 encompasses the monthly stipend and then meetings. So obviously, the amount
Oh.
of meetings that we have can change
Okay.
due to budget meetings, special meetings, workshops, items and
That
such.
that explains it.
But it probably wouldn't be less than 37 though, would it?
I mean, I know if there's only one meeting a month, it's about
Oh,
3,300,
okay.
give or take. So that's just to
Gotcha, okay.
account for the fluctuation of how many
Okay, I was
times
just,
we have to meet to talk about water.
in my head, I was just thinking it was just
Sorry,
this much,
touchy.
this much, this much, this much per month,
Yeah.
period.
Well,
Nope.
it's kind of like yours also so far
Well,
with the
yeah.
1650, but currently we're at 11. I mean, it depends on how many.
But if you look at that on the planning, at least it does go out 17,925, 17,925, 17,925. So, that's why it's minimal numbers I'm talking about here, but.
Right.
So salary elected officials, is that all the elected officials?
That's,
That, where are you, under village council?
Yeah, the very
Yes,
top line.
first line.
That's you, everybody
That's
at
just-
this table, not me. I have my own, but
that's just the
that's,
6 of
The
us.
6 trustees.
yes,
Okay,
6
yes.
trustees, and then President Poznanski's role as the head of council.
Okay.
Hospitalization, assuming because you're opting out, is there a stipend that gets worked in somewhere else with that?
Yes.
So should that remain zero? Or is that where the stipend would be budgeted out of, or does that come out of a different line?
It's under village hall and grounds.
Under what?
Village hall and grounds.
That's later on in this same.
It's the next
package,
page,
right?
sorry,
Yeah,
next
okay.
page.
Oh,
So that stipend goes out of there.
How about membership and dues? What,
Are you still under village council?
yeah,
Yeah, we do have to pay a yearly membership to MML, even though we do have our insurance under it. It's like AAA, because you have insurance, you're not a member. And any other organizations that we see fit for educational purposes.
Yeah, I would almost like to see it bumped up though, especially with having two new trustees or new.
Correct, because you guys have the
I'm
ability.
sorry, Meg, I can't hear
Yep.
you.
I said I would like to see it bumped up though, given that we have 2 newer trustees. I would like to see you guys jumping in and taking more trainings.
So that would go
there
under
would be-
education then, right? Not under membership and dues?
Right,
Well, either one, both of them.
because sometimes you need a membership in order to take a training.
Correct.
I'm sorry. So I want that to be available to you guys if that's what you would like to jump into.
And increase those two.
So do you want the increase from what it's already at for the education and training?
Do you wanna go to like 4,000 for membership or dues? We could look at.
Yeah.
Specifically looking at MML.
Mhm.
The other ones MGFOA, it just depends, probably MGFOA would not be as much due. But
Right.
MML, we could look at what an individual rate is.
Well, for instance, I just became a member of the Michigan Association of Mayors. But then I also have to then, if I ever go to an event, have to pay.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
So
education,
it's
so
that
it's
sort
the
of
next
thing.
one.
You join, but then you get a discounted rate, but you still have to pay for the training. So yeah, I think we should be bumping those up a bit.
Okay.
But then there's also education and training under village clerk, so is that's separate?
That's
Yes.
specifically for the clerk, whereas right now we're under council, so that includes the trustees and the president.
President, okay, that's what I was looking for.
And the treasurer also has their own in their line item.
Yep.
Right.
Is there, currently, we have a full-time employee, Catherine, under your line, under clerk?
We do not. That is the budget from what was approved last budget fiscal year being used up. Yeah, we've only
So it
used,
says active 5,000. So do we
that's
have
all we've
someone-
used this,
So we had someone we don't anymore.
that is correct.
Well, that's what happened
'cause
with the
She got
treasurer.
elected as treasurer.
Okay. And then part-time is gonna increase? Part-time staff?
I believe, right now, that part-time staff, I believe we moved that under Village Hall and Grounds.
Well, it's showing almost an increase of what's active of another $20,000.
Oh, okay. I thought we would have moved it to where, like Cindy and Rebecca's salary would come out of. That's where the part-timer staff would, are, in that department, Village Hall and Grounds. Nope, we should move it over there then.
Cindy's full-time though, right?
She is full-time, so is Rebecca. So we would just put that under the part-time line item under them. And take it out of village clerk.
Yeah, so it's still, what's the increase for?
What increase?
Sure, currently showing we've spent 4,700, and the projected for next year is 24,000.
Well, because we thought we were gonna hire somebody.
Oh, that's for the projected new hire.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, we have to account for that now if that comes to fruition in the new financial year. But that can be moved out of village clerk and put next to the office full-timers as the office staff, part-timer.
And then, because I'm new to this, help me understand, the hospitalization and life insurance, if someone opts to use that, does the village pay 100% of those premiums?
Yes. That's across the board with every employee in the village and elected, full-time, elected official between me and the treasurer and the president. But our president chooses to opt out, so.
Printing, publishing, posting, we currently have 0 in active, and we're projecting 12,400 for next year.
Yep, that's pretty much on par. I'm not sure where it is right now in the, I thought it was under Village Hall and Grounds, but for all the publications that we have to do, they're not cheap.
Well, yeah, so if it's on Village Hall and Grounds, why is it here also then? Because it's showing currently no money spent year-to-date out of that line for the, and then we're just projecting.
Oh, we can take that out and just leave it under Village Hall and Grounds since it pertains to all boards, not just
not
Village
just-
Council.
Take it out?
The printing, publishing, and postage.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, 'cause
So-
we're not spending it there.
Also, I think part of it was, well, I'm not sure if part of it was for the idea of having a newsletter. 'Cause-
Well, where does your publishing come for, when you have newspaper publishing to do?
Right, Village Hall and Grounds.
Okay.
That's in there right now, so we would just remove it from me.
Okay.
So, because under Village Hall and Grounds, it's got it budgeted at almost 17,000.
Right, because we wanted to do a newsletter. We were talking about doing a
Well,
newsletter.
no, is that gonna then increase by the 12 on top of the 17 that's on this for Village Hall and Grounds, or is the 17 gonna encompass everything?
The 17 will encompass everything. The line item under me will be deleted.
And is that something is that outsourced, or is that done in-house?
That's done in-house.
Okay. So the only salary left on the village clerk would be yours.
That is correct.
So, and are you thinking of extra training, was the only other question I had on that one, because it's basically doubling from where we're currently at.
I'm sorry, what was the
Currently, we're about
question?
1,500 in the training, education and training, and you got it budgeted for 3,000.
Well, it was budgeted for, 3,000, because there is one conference that I have completed the training of that I no longer go to, so that's why there was a difference this year of, and plus I do have another conference coming up that is still in this fiscal year, so that is gonna take care of almost a large chunk of what you see here.
For the remainder of this year. And then
Correct.
you're expecting the same for next year then, roughly?
Yeah, it should be the same for next year. It's about 1-2 max now that I am completed the big conference.
Catherine actually is going to be hosting a session.
I am going to be a facilitator at my upcoming conference.
Good luck.
Yeah, I haven't done PowerPoint in forever, oh my goodness.
Where do you host it at?
Pardon me?
Where do you host it at?
This year it's at the Renson in Detroit.
Oh,
I get to host all the village clerks that are from the state of Michigan.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Under village treasurer, membership and dues there, I see that nothing has been any, 21, 22, 23. And
Correct.
so is that something new that the treasurer is part of or has to be part of?
Well, this treasurer is taking, the current treasurer that we have right now is taking an active role in memberships and education opportunities that are available to her.
Awesome.
Well, and
That's where she's at right now, actually.
And
is
she's newer, so she needs to
That's
jump
awesome.
into
Yeah.
all the stuff.
So-
Whereas Sherry was on the, like you said, once you've taken the certain ones, you just.
Correct, there
you're
are
there.
some that once you've
So,
taken them, that's
yeah.
it, you're
So,
done, so.
We're
yep.
starting out fresh here.
Mhm. And there are a few like local associations that she's a part of on top of statewide.
So under village hall and grounds, uniform laundry cleaning, in 21, 22, we had like $800 used. And we're up to budgeting for 25 or 22. What changed there?
I'm not sure, that might not be in the correct
I'd say, what uniforms come out of hall and
department. Yeah,
grounds?
no, there are none for Village Hall and Grounds, because all the other departments have it within them.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
well, it
I mean,
says
if I can get my
active
dry
is
cleaning done.
2,200.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, that might be, no, that's gonna be adjusted and moved into the proper department, in the proper
So we
fund.
missed it in one, but we added it.
That's correct, well, we found it. Now we found it.
There you go.
So- And just to verify again on that, we are not paying two separate contracts?
That is correct.
Cintas is the only one, is that what you said yesterday?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, there was a time that we had two and it didn't go well. I mean, the guys
Like
were,
some for some and some for the other, and it just didn't go well.
and then the billing, one was being billed weekly, another one was being billed monthly, or paying, they were paying, one was paying monthly and the other one was paying weekly.
Right.
And then
Just causing a lot of
it was,
confusion.
yeah, they
a
ended up
nightmare.
with two separate, they had like two sets of uniforms from, one from each company, but then they only liked the one fit better and, yeah. So it's been
So we
a,
were at one point.
Well, we were
double
trying to do a cost-saving measure by transitioning, but we never completed the
it didn't,
transition.
it didn't go well.
It did not go well.
Gotcha. The stuff for our attorney, Mark Clark, those increases just standard based on his contract.
How far down are you?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes, because he did have 3-year
801.
projections in
Yeah,
our
that's
contract.
right, okay.
I want to see legal.
So under contracted services,
Mhm.
you have 3 companies listed. Is that all of the contracted services, or are there others?
There are potentially others. That's just an example of what we would utilize that line for.
So essentially, just like Mr. Kasor, who we were just
Yeah.
speaking to, that would be a contract,
Excuse me.
Okay.
contract that we don't have an
chair.
actual, yeah, we need to work that into,
Somewhere.
this.
Hall and grounds.
We need,
Stuck.
9
To
new
unstick
chairs
it, it sounds like that.
for the meeting room.
The general village hall improvements,
Got to move it.
currently spent
Yes.
nothing this year,
We have,
35.
I have taken, it's not hard to take notice of our aging infrastructure of our building. There's definitely some tuck pointing outside. I've asked Les Young to, when he's done over in the park, if he could come take a look at it and scope it out and see what it is we need to do. I mean, the whole wall, the base needs tuck pointing. There's stuff that you can see from ground up that needs to be done. There's other stuff. Our windows, our front door, it's literally, the molding, I walked out one day and I turned around, well, here you go, Catherine,
like a
as the
3-foot
molding
piece on the
fell
ground.
off the door. Water is coming in
Trim from the door.
through the trim of the panes, and you can see there's staining inside. It's, what would you say, bubbling, and we need some attention. If we're gonna actually save this historic infrastructure, it needs to be addressed way sooner than later, because it's gonna get to the point where it's gonna just fall apart.
That is
Got like
reflected
a
in our,
list of items that seem urgent and those that don't, and
Yeah.
let's work that in for sure.
that's reflected in the capital outlay. That's why there was such a big jump in that.
Those two items seem pretty urgent, though.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Tuck pointing and windows leaking and all that.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
moved some of the cabinets that were really up against the brick, and you could just, it's just the brick is just turning to sand, it's just crumbling at the base. I'm like, well, that's very concerning to me. I don't know, on the outside, you can see some bricks are half missing. So I don't know, we need some attention.
So the 35,000 for capital outlay is just a general guess at this point? You don't have
Correct.
a list of
I don't
We
even,
don't have
projects
estimates
or?
either, no.
Okay. Alright. And then bank charges, 1,200? Do we get, what do we have bank fees for?
Banks charge fees.
we do.
For, taking care of our money and overseeing our money.
Or would it come out of the treasurer portion where don't we rent?
It can,
We rent the check machine that
Right.
she runs, but would that come out of the treasurer?
yeah, would the fees come out of the treasurer or would it stay in? But we do pay, fees. There's just no way around it. Business accounts have fees. And the more money you have in it, the more the fees
We
are.
are on the lower side though, because we do have good amount of money in there.
Free checking is only for like the single person ever.
Or we combined the more, what am I trying to say? The more accounts you had, the more expensive it was. Whereas it was combined into, where do we at, 4 now?
No, we're only at 3 accounts.
Okay, so the more you combined them, the less you had, the less fees.
We went from 26 bank accounts down to 3.
Are we at a bank or a credit union?
We're at a bank.
Bank. If you don't use X amount of sheets of paper, you get a reduced rate. Electronic is cheaper, all that kind of stuff counts.
If we were to change banks though, we would have to like literally get bids. We would have to map out or
Yeah.
seek out, see what everybody can offer based on our needs and our amount.
Huh.
Business banking is handled completely different.
Yeah, I have a business bank, that's why I was asking. We don't pay any fees, but it's a credit union,
Right.
not a bank, and so it's too bad. All right.
Okay.
And then the telephone
Yes.
will go down?
Well, wait, what is our, where's telephone?
9,600, you are still on the low end compared to the 40,000 yesterday.
9,000. This one might not move only because all of our phones through the village hall
Are
have been
pretty-
updated. And we are where we're at with those phones.
I would like to, though, bring back to the floor a cell phone for my position. Currently, apparently before the past president left, they did already purchase one, so we already
It was
have-
free though.
Okay,
It was a free
we didn't purchase
offer.
it, but we have a physical phone, and we would essentially be swapping out the table or my desk phone
To
for the
app.
cell phone. As I do text often Tim while he's out on the field, or Dan while he's in the other office, and then that would just be on that work phone.
Makes sense.
That would be something I would like to utilize that phone with. And we do have two, they also purchased 2 tablets.
Tablets.
Does the treasurer have one at the moment?
She has one right now with her at the conference.
Being gone for the week at her conference, they, with Jason at SYO, got it so she could telework in and not miss, come back to 200 emails kind of thing. So we do have one other tablet.
I have that one, then you have the laptop.
So those are all,
But those are Wi-Fi enabled, they don't have data packages.
Is it a huge expense to keep your desk phone?
No,
And have your,
they
the
do,
cell phone also, and just have
they would do the same thing.
have things even, what are they, transferred or whatever, when you get a call and one, it goes to the other, just so.
Forwarding.
well, right now.
Like if you're out of the office and someone has to answer, I guess, if it's not forwarded to your cell phone, you know.
Right now, our office phones run about, to have a phone at your desk, runs, and includes all the data, runs about $29 a month for each phone. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phones. And then we do have,
Just in Village Hall.
yeah.
So
And then we
that-
do have an
that's
app
only like-
that when your phone rings at your desk, you can have it ring directly to your cell
So
phone.
it's forwarded.
Right, forward it over.
Yeah, it's forwarded,
Which I
or
did
you
not
can
opt
answer.
for though, because you have to
Correct.
allow them all of your private information in order to do it.
But if you have a village phone.
But if I had a Village
Yeah.
phone, that's
Right.
different that, but I was like, I'm not
Well, but
Oh,
it,
not your
opening it
personal.
up to my.
no, because if it rings to here, they just see that it got picked up at the village hall. They don't see your phone number, and you could call from here. And they're like, oh, you're in the office. I'm like, well, no,
You're
I'm in the
calling
car,
somebody.
but I'm in the office, but, because they see the office phone number from my cell phone. Because I have to have that for cemetery, because cemetery is
So
7 days a
we would
week.
swap out the $29,
Yep.
whatever,
But yeah,
for the
that's-
$25
Oh,
charge of the cell phone.
so you don't need both, you could just have
Exactly,
the
that's
Yeah.
what,
office's
you would
cell
be
phone.
doubling that's why I'm saying swap it.
Yep,
Okay, cool.
So you have it, but you have it on your personal? I'm just trying to do this.
because I have the app on my personal, correct. So
Oh, I
when
see. Go through
oh,
an
sorry.
app, okay.
Right, so when I
see how that
answer
goes.
it, they think I'm at the desk, but I'm,
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
and I could dial out, that looks like I'm calling
Right.
from my desk.
Well, and then we each get a $25 stipend. don't we,
Correct.
To get your cell phone. So essentially, we are paying
Mm-hmm.
double for everybody. Whereas what I'm saying is I would just like the cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
get rid of the desk phone and no longer get a $25 stipend on my phone. So we're
Mm-hmm.
actually kind of saving a few bucks there to just have the $25 cell
And
phone.
we already own the physical phone itself,
Yes,
Yeah.
it just has not been activated.
so it's sitting in a
Yeah.
drawer.
I guess
Kind
you
of.
need the desk phone to have that so that it can forward
No,
those to
No.
your cell phone.
no, it just switches.
She can have both or one or the other.
So essentially, you save $25
Mm-hmm.
a month.
It would just be cutting the cord from her desk phone, she would just have a different
Yep.
shaped.
And then I
Desk
wouldn't
phone.
get an additional $25 to use my private phone every month either. So I would
Say that all the,
save a few bucks.
all the full-time electeds or treasurer, clerk, and president should have a cell phone.
The employees,
Why the
Yes.
I
treasurer?
don't know that I need one from here.
Well, I guess the treasurer wouldn't.
She's not even there full-time.
Yep.
So why do we have 7 phone lines when there's only 5 people in there? Could that be a cost saving? You said we have 7.
There's 3 offices, there's 3 out on the floor, 6, and then there's 1 at your desk. So that's why there's 7.
Right, because there was a time frame where we had 2 part-timers there at the same time, like when the accountant was there, they needed a workstation. And when the other part-timer was there, they needed a workstation. And so we just added it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could probably take away that.
At least
one of
1,
them. Mhm.
yeah, 1 if not 2.
And then, yeah, and it's just set up so like when there's general questions, the general line, certain phones will ring. If it's just hers will ring, and or if it's just building, it's just Cindy's. It's all, I have it programmed behind the scenes.
Okay, so let me ask this question. And it's not you. But if we have that many people in the office and that many phones, how come someone doesn't answer the phone when we call? Why does it automatically go to a message and we have to, why can't we get?
We do get called to the front counter. We are on the other line. We do have to go to the bathroom. I mean, it happens. We're at the copier. We're just
Yeah.
not physically at our desk.
Well,
But I
you
mean,
know,
in
why
general-
does it go to a push this for that? push that?
Right,
You're
when you
asking that.
call,
Why it
like-
just doesn't, someone doesn't pick it up?
Right, someone doesn't
Oh,
just
right,
pick
no,
up.
it's the menu because
it really does save time, and considering it is a limited staff, to
Is one
take the
person-
time when if someone could just press 3 to get to me, instead of Cindy answering it, saying, okay,
Oh
hold
my
on, let
gosh,
me
yes.
forward you, and interrupting her work when she didn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
And it could just be.
She would never
sensitive.
get, we would have one person designated, because it's unbelievable how many times you hear a phone ring in that building. So we would have to have one person designated, that's all they did was phones.
It's just a little cost, or time saving.
Yeah, I
there.
was just thinking from the customer service point of view, because we're still a community, and it's still important to be face-to-face and have that service aspect.
But we're
and-
busy.
Pardon me?
But we're busy, and
Which would
yes,
bring in
it-
to the
that would,
part-time
we
staff.
would need
I
more
mean,
staff for that,
yeah, it would be
definitely.
helpful.
Yeah.
If there's a give or take there, then
So why can't we automate it or press one?
It is
It
automated.
is.
It's
That's what I
that's
was
what the
saying.
residents don't like, they don't like their
Oh,
automated.
Okay.
But like
They want us
nobody
to go
ever
back to
picked, you have to
1980.
listen to the automated, and it's not like anyone ever picks it up and says hello.
Right.
You have to listen and pick.
It's just not
Otherwise, someone's
feasible.
gonna be transferring calls all day.
Yeah, we
Right,
would have
but
to hire
Once
an
in a while
operator.
would be nice if someone,
it's like a doctor's office.
Yeah, the doctor's, that's just what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
You gotta go
or how you
through
call any other
a 10-minute
municipality.
speech before you get to, you know,
If this is an emergency,
Yeah.
hang up
Yep.
dial, nine-
Yeah.
yeah.
If this is water, call the water
Okay.
department.
Keep moving.
I guess,
We're-
I'm just
Okay,
gonna- I'm just
we're
gonna
done.
hit on that again. Before we had the automated system, how many staff did we have in the office to be able to handle that? If it's that much of a time burden prior, I don't know when this went in.
This one in winter of 2019.
In 19, so prior to
And
19.
Staff was beyond overjoyed. They couldn't believe it. Oh, beyond, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. The phones were just ringing. Nobody knew whose phone was ringing, who was needed who, where to find anybody, and there was no voicemail option either with the old phone
my
system.
gosh.
Now you can actually leave a voicemail for somebody if they are at the counter helping somebody, and you can get a message. Messages were getting lost. Yeah, nobody knew whose phone was ringing, what to answer, when to answer, what department, how to find the other department or the person. Well, I don't know where she's at. Is she in the bathroom? Did she go to her car? It was a nightmare.
I understand what you're saying, and it was nice prior when you could call and someone answered, hey Cindy, how you doing? Hey, whoever, Mike or whoever
I mean,
picked
I
up
don't-
the phone.
Know who does that anymore, that actually answers the phone anymore, but,
Well, we could
no,
look at
it was
that
much needed and much appreciated by the staff.
Back in the part-time salary that we talked about, we want someone to answer a phone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we got a person to answer the phone, then we can get her out. But then we would have no voicemails if we got away with that.
why can't you have voicemail?
Well, because then you would transfer the person, then why not just call the person directly?
I mean, if I wasn't in the office, I suppose I'd go to voicemail.
Yeah. You still have voicemail set up. I don't know why that would make a difference if someone picked up the phone, but I know it's something we've been hawing on for years since it went into place, so.
Well, the new people like, that were here tonight, they don't know any different.
Yeah, no,
They're used to it the way it is.
it works well for us that are in the office every day.
But it is noted, I do, I
Sorry.
don't know.
Where are we done?
I
The
do
police
see what you're
department? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I think we
communications
just finished
dispatchers.
hauling grounds.
Please.
Police.
So I see Chief is requesting another officer.
Yes.
He's got on here, on the notes, what, 63. I told up all the lines that say additional officers came to 77.4. But then I also see, if we're gonna add another officer, why then are we also increasing overtime? Because you think that would alleviate some of the overtime if we're having, because we're currently at 32,000 and recommending 47 for the next year's budget, so.
I don't know if that's in case the full-time doesn't happen.
Potentially, in case the full-time doesn't happen. I mean, that's, has to be in there, I think, per the union contract, that we have to account for that, too.
But is the additional cost for the officer in the budget already?
Gotcha. I understand your
So
question.
if the additional cost is already worked into the budget for a new officer, why you shouldn't, I would just assume you're not gonna have more overtime unless
And it could be pulled from that line item.
Yeah,
It's
it
a-
could be.
to offset, yeah.
Right. I can hear you.
We can look at that.
Then down under the drug enforcement expense, talks about body cam. Is there a cost associated with that? Cause all that's in that line is $300.
That was just noting what the current year expenses for.
Oh, thank you.
So,
The current year expense for what?
$700 we're buying cameras.
How far down are we?
101, 301.
Oh, so we currently had, that's right, we approved the body cams.
I was just noting that.
Why the decrease?
Right.
Thank you.
Current year we purchased the body cams.
So he's not expecting any more, okay, that makes sense. Window cleaning, the contracted services. What, besides window cleaning, all the Lexi Pro manuals, okay.
The entire building has a contractor that comes to do the windows, and they just have to pay their portion of the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, for their 2 or 3 windows.
Yeah, it's quick.
Principal and car lease, are we done?
We are done.
Nice.
We are done.
When does he want to purchase new stuff?
No, he's good with vehicles.
Education and training is only 3,000. I would think that would be more for them than it would be for any other department.
Thought the same thing, yeah.
Do they not do a lot, or do they do it internally, or?
Maybe their union provides a lot of that, or
To
they
keep
get it
their
before they get the
status.
job.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Nolan?
Maybe they get a lot of it before they even become a police officer. I'm sure their union provides a lot of that training.
But I would assume-
Ongoing training,
Yeah,
like-
continuing education with police
Yeah.
has
Still,
to
I
be
I
pretty,
think so.
pretty fluent, just even,
Wow.
physical training,
Oh, yeah.
stuff like
Yeah, I
that.
would
You would-
think-
I would-
They have
I
to
would
keep their
think maybe more.
certifications up every so often.
If we are done, so back to the, I guess I didn't finish really, on the principal, on the car and the lease. If we're done making payments on that, is there a line that we can start budgeting to put in to, so that when we do need to purchase, we already have a fund available for that, so that we're not paying interest on a loan or a lease?
I did ask for that. It's not in that spot, though.
Yeah. Would that be a motor pool? I mean, we do have the motor pool fund next on the agenda.
I mean, if it's, yeah, I don't know which one would come out, if it's coming
Because I
out of
didn't
this.
ask, I mean, I didn't want literally the amount, but I was like, even if we took half of it, so that we were prepared, and could pay down half, and then
Every so
essentially,
many years we
every
just plan
year,
out a
you
new
are only
vehicle.
paying half every year, because you've put enough at the front to do that
Lower the interest
continuously.
cost.
Right.
So we can start with 10.
So how much are you proposing, Justin? Or you don't care, you just?
I would lean on chief to figure out how often he needs a new vehicle and estimate a cost, and
Can you do that, though, in accounting?
Well, because this is the general fund, you kind of,
I mean, if
You know what,
Recommend the budget
I-
later.
the term I'm gonna use isn't
If I have a
right.
lab where I work, if I have a lab and I budget $100,000 and I only use 80,000 of it, guess what? Next year, they're only gonna give me $80,000.
right.
They're not gonna let me say, well, I'm keeping the $20,000 because I'm gonna put 20,000 with this and then I'm gonna buy that. No, they don't buy that.
Right.
Right. Well,
This
'cause
is-
this
That's
is
why-
different
that's why-
accounting.
The general
They
fund,
don't know, they don't wanna hear that.
Yeah.
it
Well,
works,
yes.
Yeah, maybe that is for capital.
It's handled
but they don't wanna
differently
be put in
here.
my budget.
yeah.
no, this is, because this is the general fund, it works a little differently
Yeah, we
here.
can save.
So you can, you're correct in the fact that it'll fall down to funding on some.
And it looks
entities.
like
So
extra.
if you budget 80 and you spend 20, you have 60,000 that'll in theory fall down to your fund balance over time. You would then need to re-budget it the next year for that purpose.
knowing what we're doing so that someone doesn't go, oh, we have an extra 60 grand, let's spend it on this. We're going
Right.
to be putting that, yeah.
Oh, we might be kinder, because I don't know a lot of accountants that'll let you do that. They'll just take it back.
Well,
This is
Yeah, it's-
government
Yeah,
accounting,
it's-
not
it's a little
corporate.
different than-
The village isn't just gonna give the money away, so.
No, I
yeah.
agree, but I'm just talking about accounting rules.
Yeah, I know what you're saying,
The
yeah.
theory is the same. You're correct, the theory's the same, like, if it's not there, then it's up for next year, that you then can decide what you wanna do with that budget. There's a couple options that you can do, so Julie's suggestion was, in your fund balance, at the end of either this year or next year, if you have additional funds because of the savings on your budget, you can assign those for capital purchases. You can assign it for a police car. It's not a required commitment, it's just giving intention.
And that you
hey,
see it.
We increased our fund balance on purpose for saving.
Mhm.
Some clients, move it into a capital projects fund, like to build fund balance there for purchases. Your motor pool, in theory, kind of serves that purpose too. We'll get there. The motor pool fund doesn't have funds in it right now. So you
Excuse me.
can't just move the police car there necessarily. The money's gonna ultimately probably come from general fund for the most part anyway. So there's a few options so you can keep your intent going forward and kind of save
Mhm.
for that purchase.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Under communications, dispatchers, see the full-time is relatively staying the same, but from where part-time is active at 9,000, it's going down to $1,000 at 13.
They had a part-timer become full-time.
But full-time's not really going up.
So, yeah, then wouldn't the recommended for 23, 24 go up?
I can talk to the chief about that, because when I asked him about staffing, his only response was about the new position. So,
Well, didn't they lose someone though, too? That's why they probably moved the part-time one up?
yeah, they had a part-timer step down.
Well, I thought they had a full-timer step down. Yep.
No, because Kevin became full-time. Walter kind of stepped back.
I don't know.
I'll have to double check with him.
Yeah, I still wouldn't expect, if we got the same amount of full-time, I wouldn't expect the full-time line to be less.
Right.
We're currently at 105-ish, 104 something. Projected to be 125, I don't know why it'd be 110 for next year.
I can inquire with the chief on that.
And then again, if the salaries are going down, how's the holiday pay going up? From currently, we're at 16, budgeted 30 for this
Yeah,
year.
how did we only pay like
Going up to 40.
4 grand for holiday back in 21, 22, and now
Yeah.
it's at 40? What was our staff like at 21, 22?
I think they had one more officer.
Yeah, but a holiday coverage is a holiday coverage. It's the
Right.
same amount of hours, days,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know, I don't think their new contract allowed for any additional holidays. So, yeah, we just have to revisit that line.
So it should, yeah, I mean, it should really be a set amount of hours and, at that point.
But it's also based on, their holiday pay is based on their wage increases also. So, yeah, we can revisit
True.
that.
Okay, I don't even know what number page we're on. One, two, three,
Next
four.
page,
Okay,
or-
we're on to 5. Where are we? At the top, we have fire department in here.
Yeah, see the contract services, how many years, do we know how many years we're still in contract with that?
For fire,
For
we're
fire.
close.
The last one was 5 years,
Yeah.
and we signed
Right.
it,
With Christine and I, and so we're close.
20 we
I think we
signed
have 1 or 2.
27 sounds about.
Sorry, I don't have that chart with me. I do have a chart,
4,
but I did not bring that with me.
515 sounds like the original amount, wasn't it? So that was 21? We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 25, 26 or something like that.
So the increase to 550, 580, and 610, is that built into the contract?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's only just gonna keep going up from there.
The 5-year contract in year 1 was 2019, 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So ending June 30th, 2024.
So we
Yeah,
got to
it was
renegotiate
close.
starting January.
Yep, who went?
Guess so.
Yeah.
'Cause I think it took us a while the last time.
Yeah.
So the 610 might be an actual just forecasted number at this.
Assuming, yeah.
Yeah, based on the
Yeah.
percentage of increase.
Under planning, the contracted services,
That is our planner. Has been moved to there out of building.
oh, so it was in building, that's
It
why
was
there's
in building,
nothing-
yep.
Nothing on there.
And now it's been moved appropriately down
And
here.
that, we do have to go out for bid on that, right? We did a
I believe at
6-month
the end of
trial.
July is when we would have to go out for bid.
Okay.
And then now, part-time employees, you guys are capturing a salary on top of the zoning administrator capturing her stipend. That's the increase for that.
Say that one more time, Catherine, I missed that.
The new budget, it accounts for the planning commission members receiving a stipend along with the zoning administrator whose stipend was being paid out of there. So that's why it's almost doubled.
All the lines and all the budgets throughout, for the printing, publishing, and all that, that's all in-house stuff, right? That's not,
Well, I mean, that's for, I send the documents to the papers that need to publish it, and then they publish it.
But we
But they're
do,
created here in-house. What do you mean by
the
in-house?
printing and stuff. I just see a lot of line items for printing
well, we
and
do
stuff like
print
that, and I'm like,
our,
in total,
print
the
water bill,
village.
not necessarily, because water bills get printed.
Mhm. Water bills get printed, newsletters, we have to pay for all the publishing costs.
but the water bills, that's through a service we already contract with, right?
No, they get
Well, I
printed
don't know that
in-house.
it's contracted,
Right now,
Oh, in-house.
right now. The postcards get printed in-house.
But not the beginning of, like, they came
The
with.
stationery.
Yeah.
We purchased the stationery, but the
We printed everything.
residential information gets printed at DPW.
And the plan is to still do that going forward with the page
Okay.
and the template. It just
So we have the new template created.
easier. Mhm.
So, under the DPW physical examinations,
Mhm.
so far we're only at $121. We're predicting 1,400 and the next year 1,500.
Papers haven't done it yet.
Do they get annual examinations or what? Is that just if a new employee's hired?
New employee hire, and I think they also do spot drug testing.
What testing?
Spot drug testing, like random drug testing.
Oh, so who tells them when to go?
Shoot, I get the documents mailed to me when they're done. The name escapes me right now. I haven't seen any in a while, but yep. They will
Okay.
get chosen
I
and they
work
have
for a
to
fire
participate.
department. Walked in, it was like, hey, your number just got chosen.
Yeah,
Go test.
Go test.
okay.
Again? Every time?
So that's basically the drug testing,
Mhm.
sort of, okay.
Yep. But that's confidential, so I have to put that straight in their HR files.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out, just because there is a line item for overtime and it's designated as Peach Festival because we pay for our
Yeah.
DPW overtime to service the festivities that take place throughout the entire village.
Okay, so I wanted to ask about that, but I didn't really want to
Yep,
appear to
nope,
be
it's right there. So we
unneighborly, but-
absorb the costs between the police department and DPW. The
It's
people, the
not-
flow of people.
Yeah, so it's not that we are going onto their property and
Right.
taking care of things. It's the fact of so much is going on here and there's an
Outside of the
influx
village.
of people. It's kind of like tills,
So is that a
Tills it.
new line? Because there was nothing in 21, 22.
Yeah, we're starting to identify it.
So that was as of the last Peach Festival, the 1,400 in overtime.
Plus the 457.
Yeah, a new line item was created in the budget, so we can keep track also.
Which
Is
one?
the goal to either not provide that service so we don't have the overtime, or is it to go back and see if we can recoup the expense? What's the goal with breaking it out?
I would think you want to have it done. Now, whether you get the revenues recouped, I don't know, but you
Right.
gotta have somebody in charge of taking care of those trash cans and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm not saying someone shouldn't, I'm asking
Trash
what the
cans and no
goal is of
parking
breaking it
signs.
out, like,
That is not my goal, no.
Yeah,
that's not your,
that's up to you guys, the board. I don't think any communication or any discussions have ever taken place, but I'm not privy if they have.
so who asked for it to be broken out on here?
I can't remember that conversation. I think that might have been between me and Tim, but that was, I just don't recall that conversation. I think took place last year. For at the beginning of the preparation for the budget that we're finishing up.
Oh, I see.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't recall the conversation. I think that might have been also a payroll item. The way their timesheets are set up are very particular, especially in DPW. So it might have been dictated out of better payroll timesheet structure.
It actually seems pretty inexpensive, if you ask me, for 4 or 5 days of,
It is, but any other event, you know, like the Winter Fest and all those other things we do, we don't, would we bill that back to them, or would we just eat the cost if we had to service
I
that?
assume we just eat the cost and we do
Yeah,
service
I don't think
that.
there's a particular
Correct.
procedure in place.
I don't think we break out Winterfest, DPW costs or anything like that.
We just pay.
DPW, the village's portion, and the DDA's events.
Right, so
Yeah.
why are we breaking out Peach Fest then?
Oh, I see, maybe you should, all events?
Like I said, I think it was a timesheet payroll item, the way timesheets
Yeah,
and
and if-
payrolls were submitted.
Considering that weekend and the influx of people, you're not gonna be getting that much of that overtime. For an event like, Winterfest, given the couple days, or day.
A lot less
Day.
people.
They
Yeah.
take care of what they need to Friday and then get
Monday
back to it
morning.
on Monday,
Monday,
so it's
that
not
makes
like there's
sense.
necessary overtime there.
I did have a question on the full-time active, Tim's wage, basically. It's pretty much maintained, 18, gonna be 15.6, or 16, and then it's jumping. Is it just being broken out of different departments differently than it was before? Or why is there active currently at 14, projected to be 15.9, and then next year is projecting 25? It's just 10,000 more out of that. So is that different from where, if we look at the other lines where he falls under, because is he getting paid out of multiple accounts?
He does get paid out of multiple accounts, but the increase, Julie or Carrie, do you have a response to that? Their timesheets can turn in and they look like complex Excel spreadsheets,
It's based on what their hours.
where, what their hours are, where they
And where
are.
they were in the village when they did it and what that gets pulled
But if
out of.
he's salaried, right, so I would assume that he would be evenly spread out.
Not necessarily, I mean, his is still broken out appropriately.
Because you wouldn't want, I understand what you're saying is it would just, because it's a no
Percentage
number.
based, I see. Yeah, makes
But
sense.
given where you want to pull from, you want that money
Yeah, that
left in that
Percentage of
department.
time spent.
If he's
yeah.
making $50,000, he keeps track of his hours, right?
Yeah, makes
He's
sense.
working
Correct.
3 hours on filling potholes, he's working 3 hours fixing sewer lines, he's working, and so all those are coming out of
Makes
separate
sense.
accounts.
Right, and you don't want to just
Still makes up
evenly
his salary.
take the same amount of percentage out of the potholes when that wasn't the fact, because you need that extra there to
Right.
really do that the next time.
Yeah, makes
So,
Yeah, I just didn't
that's
know
just,
why the larger increase in this line.
he sees it as one paycheck,
Correct.
but
The budget does not.
the budget doesn't.
And payroll does not.
They're looking it up right now.
Will their $20,000 phone bill change?
Yeah, that one is our biggest headache, so that is the one that we are working on also. I think that's part of the one that legal said, go ahead and pull back, because their systems have been updated, so we should not be receiving those phone bills anymore.
Yeah.
Nice.
Their phone bills, their phone systems are equivalent to ours at the Village Hall, where it's like $29 a month, and they have like 2 phone lines.
So what will this change to? Because you've got 20,000 in here. What should it really be?
Where am I?
Well, it is half. No, I'm sorry, I'm looking at 21.
Very top line.
Top of the
Yeah.
line.
Oh, I'm, wrong page.
Oh, you're on the
Oh,
next
sorry,
page.
yeah, next page.
You're
Tom.
jumping ahead on me.
Sorry.
I was taking questions on that.
Oh, back up, go ahead.
Yeah, hoping to cut that in the bare minimum in half.
So it'll go down to about 10.
Yep.
It's still the same, but
Yeah, well, I'm being generous with the, I don't want to be overly, I keep breaking this, I don't want to be
Yeah.
overly optimistic.
okay.
This is,
Okay,
If we go back to the other page real quick, membership and dues, currently at 19 for this year. Active.
$19?
No, 1,900. Not again, a small amount, but why are we only projecting 6? Was there something that, is that something that's gonna be an annual fee, or is it, it's just, seems like a random jump?
That I'd have to ask Tim about, because I know they all
Again,
have
very
their
small numbers,
certifications.
Well, yeah, it spiked to 1,900 and then went back down, so.
Okay, it might have went back down if it didn't, wasn't being utilized.
Okay.
I know the publishing, printing,
Can we move to the next page?
yeah, I'm good now.
Okay.
Sort of small, $1,300 issue I
But
had in my
still,
brain.
it spiked and then, yeah. Okay, so equipment rental Peach Fest, $3,545.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what we're renting for Peach Fest? Any idea?
If that's that inner rental, program that we have when the DPW is doing, they have to rent their own equipment, like how we explained at the last budget meeting.
Yeah.
Like, we're not calling a company and saying, hey, we need, no, it's to pay for the utilization of our own equipment
Okay.
or interdepartmental equipment sharing also. If they were to call a company, it'd be in a different line item, but that's just
Contract,
how
but-
it's set up and.
Okay.
So, yeah, what, I guess, I don't know if it's what you were getting at, but what
What are we using?
renting from ourselves then for Peach Fest?
That's a Tim question, but I mean, outside of, the extra trucks and, because I know that when they pick up the trash, it's just one pickup truck. Well, there's probably multiple trucks of them putting out the barrels, picking up the trash. That would be a Tim question.
So like the pickups and
Yeah,
excavators.
pickup,
and
yeah.
Loader.
Bobcat.
Okay.
I hope it doesn't come to that.
I've seen the loader during Peach Fest, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have a Bobcat, actually. We got full on.
For the DPW, if it's okay to jump back to
Sure.
that one.
Yeah,
It looks like that it's about 10 or 11,000. Jason Zurich
Oh, he's new.
started in September of '22. So it's his allocation for a full year that I think is what wasn't there last year. Because all the others are 14,000.
yeah, so I guess that line is specifically labels Tim, the line above it's full-time, right?
Yeah, so there's actually, in that one, there's actually 7 or 8 individuals in
In Tim's line?
the 101, 441, 703, 910.
Oh, okay, so it's not just Tim.
Right, there's like
Okay.
7 people that get a portion of time allocated there.
So why is there 2 different, above it says salary full-time, and then we got another full-time line? Why is it not just one line?
I don't know why it's originally been done that way. We've been following that procedure, but I can tell you that they are all, like, let me go back and, Tim's info.
So I thought every other one was full-time, part-time, then like department head.
Yeah.
Trustees, Megan's pay, or president's pay, everything was always broken out separate. I don't know, not a big deal, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but
Someone knows, but,
Yeah, it's not broken out separately, because in the full salaries, there's like 10 or 12 people. Well, that's not true. There's 10 or 12 lines. There's probably 6 people that have some portion of time charged in
So then what's part-time wage unknown? 2 lines below that.
Yeah, I guess it's
Maybe they hire Tim's kids.
I was gonna say, when
Day
they
labor.
randomly just need
Day
something to
labor
do.
Yeah.
For beach vets, hey,
Yeah, they
We
don't
don't
have
have
go out there and empty that trash.
It's like when
can.
you have the part-time at the cemetery. I don't.
It's Casey.
Oh, that's right. Casey was part-time seasonal between November and April when the cemetery season was complete. Then he slid over to DPW in the winter months, but at a part-time basis.
Okay, so that was,
Because he wasn't, yeah,
Yeah, so it's kind of just
thank you.
that extra time.
He is now full-time
Who
with
then scooted
DPW.
into full-time at DPW.
just concerning to see unknown on a budget.
Right, yeah, sorry,
But
Casey.
unknown.
No love to Casey.
Overall, though, that DPW budget there has gone down.
Yeah, what's the big
That's
jump there?
60 grand.
I don't know if it has to do with the retirement of a very seasoned full-timer last
If you
year,
go to
And his pay.
Total.
and his
yeah,
pay and his
rate.
pension.
DPW,
He had a pension, these
we
gentlemen.
had
Yeah.
327 this year, and we're projecting only
260.
Did you hear what Catherine had said? Justin, did you hear what Catherine said?
We had a retirement of a very seasoned salaried employee who was part of the pension also. So that could account for the change. And now we have 2 employees that came in at, one came in at the base rate, one came in slightly higher than the base rate.
And does that put Tim where he needs to be now?
As far as,
Employees and staff, and
yes,
it does, okay.
yes, 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 yes.
One of those guys, all the departments do a great job, but, you know, I just want to make sure that everyone's got what they need for,
That was my first question out of my mouth when every department had sat down, how's your staff? How are your cars? The big ones first. Then I'm like, all right, now break it to me. What do you
Tim
need?
did kind of want us to make note, though, that he has a backhoe? Is it a backhoe?
Yeah, the backhoe has been ordered, but.
That was
is-
approved
Last
last
budget.
year?
So we carried the funds over for
Um,
that because we're waiting for it to be
And
delivered so
how
we can
much
pay
was
for
it?
I want to say 168?
It was not cheap.
138?
That still hasn't come to fruition yet, so we need to
Right.
keep that in mind.
so that money fell to the
Okay.
general fund, like we're saying, no? And then,
Motor pool.
oh, in the motor pool, okay.
So that will be,
But it's
just
just
so everyone knows, that was approved. It has been ordered, it just hasn't.
taking
yeah.
forever.
Same thing, I mean,
It fell to the fund balance.
220, 221.
Because he was nervous, do I need to cancel that? And I'm like, well,
No.
if we approved it, it just isn't. Yeah.
Keep carrying it
Yes,
till it shows up.
correct.
Still district, I think.
Now, Catherine, this is something I'm not familiar with.
Where are we?
Our electric, given our new crosswalk extension, is that something, that is into our hands now of paying for that additional electric? Do we need to, has it been noted?
What do you mean the additional electric? We didn't get any
Of those,
lights.
of all of the extra lights at that crosswalk, the crosswalk, I'm sorry.
To the
Sidewalk extension.
Oh, sidewalk extension. Yeah, this is gonna be the utility bill of that when that goes on,
saying-
turns on.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
saying is that we've taken that into consideration, that it's gonna
Oh.
increase it.
I think so. No, wait.
It doesn't look like there's very much of an
Oh,
increase.
okay, no, we will. Thank you for reminding us, yes, because those have not been turned on yet.
Not yet.
And,
We just approved the $15,000, and
Okay.
it's been about a month, so it should be happening.
I think I saw that box.
Well, the
new
box has been
there.
there for a while, but it's
Okay.
been just empty. They
Empty.
need to put the guts in.
Okay, nope, we will adjust that based on,
Okay.
yeah, because of what we currently pay, we'll have to adjust it, adding a new set of street lamps that we have to pay the electricity for. Off the top of my head, I don't know how many street lamps are up there.
Did we at least put, LED in 'em? LED light bulbs? I would
I
hope.
hope so, 'cause I think, isn't that industry standard now?
I would hope so.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Did we put LED lights in the
Yeah,
extension?
they haven't been turned. I don't think they're on yet.
The lighting in town drives me absolutely batty. All the different colored bulbs they're putting in, and
Yeah,
Slowly swapping them out.
it looks very.
it's, yeah, I don't like the new ones at all.
Okay,
It's a pump
continuing
price.
on. It's 9 o'clock. We're at
Yep.
places to go.
Where are we at? Tree board, all the boards have their own line items now, or all their own funds, I mean. Or funds within the fund. Departments, thank you. Like, there's a word that's not fund. So those are all accounted for.
The historic district, they're dropping pension and hospitalization.
They're dropping hospital pension because the recording secretary was Caroline Miller, who now her hospital and her pension and all that comes out of her treasury expenditure.
What is the guest speaker coming? What's that? I'm just,
They had one
Interesting.
come last,
Yeah, they had one that came last year, which I
From
graciously
Michigan
took it
State,
out of
wasn't it?
my education fund.
Oh,
I
did
paid
it?
for, I paid for it technically, and so now they wanted to start that where they can have guest speakers to come in and talk about.
Was that for the gypsy moth or something like?
No, no, they had
No.
somebody come in and talk about historic district commissions.
Oh, okay.
And,
was
yeah,
thinking-
so
okay.
they want to start seeing that continue, education for their board. But yeah, last year it was taken out of my education fund, because we had no other place to take it.
and with that, we are
Are we done with general?
done with general fund.
Can we
Sorry,
just-
I keep
I have
doing
one
that.
quick question about adding another police officer. So are we down an officer, or,
According to the chief, we are. He believes that his staff is not complete to where it needs to be.
do we have a standard of like 2 officers on this shift, 3 on this
He
one?
did explain it as such, because we do have Patrick, who's now the resource officer at the middle school, so that took away one of the, yeah, we kind of lost one, and it was, did he call it the swing shift? It's kind of like the afternoon, so as the morning is exiting, the morning officer is on, then the afternoon one comes on before the late shift comes on, so then there's the overlap. We don't have that overlap right now, where there's the 2 officers overlapping the 2 shifts, or one officer overlapping the 2 shifts. We don't have that overlap right now. That's what he's looking to restore.
So how many officers do we have on at any given time, do you know?
1.
Besides the chief, like during
Correct.
the day?
Right, well, when the chief's shift is over, it's still just 1.
Okay.
that's, I'm gonna say that, I don't think that's correct, because I've had 2 show up at my door to deliver packets. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I see 2 often.
Well-
I don't think
It
we're
sounds like they
rolling.
overlap each other a little bit with that swing shift, so it might not be one leaves and one starts. There
But
might
if we
be-
don't currently have that, like we're saying, since the school year
That's
started.
how it was
Oh, I've never
explained
seen
to
2.
us, the swing
Oh,
shift.
I see
yeah.
2.
Yeah,
I had 2 in my driveway the other day.
yeah.
I don't
Oh,
think we
okay,
have
well-
a consistent coverage of that.
Correct,
I think
right.
it's a certain
That's a
amount of
question for the
days.
chief, but yeah, he's looking to keep that more consistent.
Yeah, if he needs one, let's give it to him. I think that's pretty important.
Well, and sometimes they end up with just overtime and they have
Yeah.
to they cover extra.
Right.
He could probably
So-
explain it better.
But wasn't this part of this approved, like we're talking to the resource officer, I thought the additional was approved back then for that.
We've also tried to get officers and then.
Kinda
they've
had a bit of a
not
revolving
stayed,
door.
And then
You
we've
know.
tried to get officers and they've not stayed.
That
and
one
then
guy was
we-
there just a few months, wasn't he?
And then we just got.
One was there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Um,
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Probably shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, nope.
Um,
That was about a year ago.
so now we're with Priest, just came in.
Correct.
Okay.
You remember he came to the council meeting, got sworn in, got, introduced, shook hands with everybody, 2 weeks later, he's gone.
This most recent guy?
It was about a year
The
ago.
most recent guy?
No.
It was like she said.
About
probably
3
a year
officers ago,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
quite literally.
But then we had to hire a replacement for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there went Patrick. All right, are we on to motor pool?
Just real quick to touch base on this officer again, I just want to.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so the full-time officer, we go back to that line. We were budgeting 346 for this year, and he's only got it at 353. So, yeah, it sounds like we were not really adding any more than we already budgeted for the current year, because that was already worked in. So is it really additional money, all this?
We lost that one car payment, didn't we?
No, I'm just saying, that's for just the full-time salaries and in that line. So is it really additional from what we were currently budgeting, or is it, just getting the person in place?
I think it's getting the person in place, one moment.
And they also come in at a different rate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Yeah,
asking
it's
for-
probably getting the person in place, because we just keep having that hole.
He's asking for 63,000, right?
That's what it says.
For
And if you look
starting,
at all
yeah.
the individual lines, it comes out to maybe a little bit higher than that, but
Okay.
if you look at the active budgets moving up to this and what was budgeted for last year, it's really not that much of an increase, right? He's saying on the one line item was 38.5 additional, but we're only really going from 345 to 353. That's not 38,000,
No, it's only-
right? So I think it's already, my
already worked
understanding, I wish he was here to explain, but.
Correct, right,
That it's
yep.
already been worked in. We're really not budgeting for a full additional officer, because we already worked that in when we added the resource officer.
We can verify with him.
Yeah.
Is the school paying for part of the resource officer, or are we paying that whole bill?
Well, it's all divided up. There was
It's
the
divided up.
3 of us.
Okay,
Bruce pays
Bruce,
the least
Romeo.
of like $5,000 somewhere or less.
okay.
Because in the summer, we grab him back to the,
Yeah, he comes
Yeah.
back to us.
Put him on the Peach Fest.
moving on to motor pool.
Motor pool, so you see on the front page all those interfund rentals where we rent from ourselves?
Sorry, the next process was fun a little bit.
Sure.
So, a couple things to pay attention to. We didn't know which way to present this. So the way it's shown right now is not how it can be adopted because it's budgeted to be in a deficit, which we technically don't have to adopt a budget for the motor pool fund, but correctly, you're never supposed to adopt a budget in a deficit. But we felt it was the easiest way to demonstrate what was going on in the fund, knowing that we're just in discussions at this point. So if you look, I'm gonna tell you column E, which is gonna mean nothing to you. So if you look at, the activity through 6:30 column and go to the bottom, that is where you stand as of the point that we ran the report. So you can see that your fund balance you're down to almost 40,000, which, to the president's point, that backhoe is still budgeted this year, it's not in there. But there have been other purchases, the snow plows and things like that. So we're not done with the year yet, so I anticipate that 40,000 that's there is gonna go down further. When you look at the recommended budget column, that is taking into account, as the clerk said, the interfund rentals, based on how it's normally been done, coming into the fund, as well as the projected expenses. And then that projects you to be in a deficit by the end of the year of 67,000. So what we were originally doing and kind of had the allocation teed up is normally we would increase the allocation on a pro rata basis per those funds that contribute to motor pool to cover that anticipated deficit at this point. Now, obviously, we can adopt it to be to zero. We can adopt it to have some level of fund balance, keeping in mind that as we move through fiscal year 24, you will be able to amend it. So It's just part of a bigger discussion. There had been some fund balance built up over time, which has allowed for those purchases that you've had over the past few years. So kind of to the earlier discussion about the police car, you know, with the money coming in, it's been saving there, and you've been able to make those purchases, but you're at a kind of a crossroad now where you've really depleted that savings, if you will. So going forward, either those transfers in are gonna need to increase, in order if you wanna kind of build that back up.
Okay. And it would just be the same funds that we are allowed to transfer in from?
Yes, because unless there's been any change, I can't think that there would be.
Okay.
As far as ones that utilize the, equipment. So at a minimum, we'll need to increase those transfers in to cover that 67,000. Just at least to get it adopted.
Okay. Okay, I see that. What would be the best route to do that?
So.
Equally, or?
Yeah, we would take the same allocation of like the percentage general fund of the total, and we would just take that 67 and increase it.
Okay.
So, you know, we can easily do that and, get it to 0. And then the decision would be is, do we want to continue to operate the motor pool to just cover annual expenses, and that's how we match the transfers, or is there desire to kind of build that fund balance back up for purchases? And then that way,
Build.
we want to be increasing beyond
This
that break
is-
even.
yeah.
How did our depreciation
Oh, gosh, that's right.
shoot up for 22, 23, and then come back down?
It has, so good question. The current year activity has not been reported yet, because depreciation we normally do like as a year-end close entry. Without looking at the details of 23, my guess is that there was a purchase that maybe had a shorter life, or a couple that was kicking that up for those years. And potentially then the projected for 22 probably needs to be higher.
I guess I'd like to see something where we save still, you know, and do that, but I don't want to do it at the cost of raising taxes.
Raising what?
Taxes. Millage
Yeah, no,
rates.
that wouldn't happen. It would just.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary to get to what she's talking about.
Right,
Okay.
it's
No.
just
Um,
how we,
Capital outlay,
yes.
it's 0, right?
Cutting phone bill.
So the stuff in the blue, is that
You're gonna save, you know.
Because we just bought our snowplows.
purchased
'Cause
in
we just
23?
bought our
No, I'm
snowplows,
saying like the
so, yeah.
requested 75,
That's
in
for
25.
25, so just
Okay.
a kind of
I see.
a heads up
25,
that
26.
that's a purchase that's anticipated, but your fund balance wouldn't support it.
right, right. Yeah, that's definitely something that has to be looked at for
Looked
the
at,
future.
that we were
You
gonna
said this
try and
was-
project it out.
Like that, like same with the police vehicles, can we put some into that fund or the fall down to the general and disappear and come back thing, whatever it was?
That's what we said, we could even just, you
Great.
divide it up over
Real
2 or 3
technical.
years, and, yeah,
You can
Um,
transfer in to kind of do building that fund balance.
Yeah.
right. And I had spoken with Caroline and Catherine, that as that transfers each year, in order to ensure that it partly isn't spent at an appropriate time, is we get that invested. So it's secured for the amount of time that those
Mhm.
CDs or whatever is, and then you can't pull
Can't
it out
touch
for
it.
those 3 or 6, however long that CD is, and then it's also accruing, but it also keeps it safe.
So the only purchase that we foresee though, right now, before we start saving, was the request for the service van for DPW. And we were projecting it out over the next couple budgeted years. So we will put that in place, because that's the only request we have so far. As far as police vehicles, I have all the vehicle titles here right now. I think our oldest police vehicle's 2018. So, but I don't know what shape it's in right now, and he said
And
he's fine.
What did you say for the van? What year was it?
The
again?
van is a 2012.
12, okay.
Yep, and we got it in 2013. Not sure why. Yep.
So just so we're clear on what to adjust, do you want us to adjust it to keep that break-even fund
No.
balance for this year? Or are you wanting to see some fund balance moved in? And again, you can make this decision as you progress through 24 as well, as you see how your expenses are coming in those other funds that would be transferring in accordance.
So if we put more into it and doesn't use, then it just falls back to the general?
You can decide to at the end of the year, you can
Doesn't have
decide
to.
what you want to do.
By amending it type
Yeah.
thing?
Mm-hmm. To keep
So
it.
that's how we would do it.
I would just see it break even then, and not move it, but.
But still have a fund balance there. Create a fund balance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like she was saying, either break even or put additional, right?
Oh,
I
okay.
would say.
Break even at
Break
the-
even.
yeah.
And then if we need to move
That's
more
what I-
funds as needed,
Add it
then
in
we do that,
That's what I wanted to clarify.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to start, though, we're just going to break even. We're not setting anything aside right now.
No additional funds, right?
Unless, so you're saying for the capital, for the van? Is that what we're talking about, putting extra in for?
It'd be nice to have something extra over the next 2-3 years, so it's not a $75,000
It's
surprise.
actually already been done. When I did the rates for,
Okay.
I increased them by 25,000.
Oh, cool.
Over 3 years.
Over 3 years.
Okay, got
So
it.
that was already
It's
in
already
there.
been configured.
Yeah,
That's in those numbers.
Okay, good.
Okay,
I
good.
guess just
Got it, got
breaking
it.
even would be fine then.
yeah, because it's already.
Okay, so that one started, and then if something comes up, we can always adjust it for, if we foresee another vehicle starting to have its day.
Well, we'll have a vehicle sale. We can
That is true.
put a few bucks in
Well,
there.
that's gonna be literally just gas money, but, sorry, can't
Um,
resist.
Okay, are we good? Moving on. 727, employee retirement fund. Also, just as I'm saying the numbers, it's reminding me of our big fund project of changing the fund numbers and that whole state regulated.
Oh, right, chart of accounts.
Yes, yeah. Of which, but to that point though, where have we stuck any of that? Would that come out of contracted if we need money?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
So the state has decided, or I don't know how it all came down.
They like to move
So
stuff.
each municipality puts whatever number they want to these funds, and then they decide, well, no, we want them all to be the same. So when we look at them, we know that 727 in every municipality is retirement, which is great and all, and I get the logic, but then it costs money to do that, of which they say, that's
Tough.
your problem.
Exactly.
So, Catherine
mandatory.
had thought it was done already, but it's not. Plant Moran has said it would cost, threw out a number of not to exceed
10.
10
Yeah,
grand.
not to exceed.
We've reached out to BSNA. They said they have potential to do it, but Plant Moran isn't confident in it. So we're kind of in this,
Yeah, what they are doing, so we've been doing tons of these, for communities, and so what BSNA does is they will, as part of your software package, they will convert you in the general ledger. You have to provide them, these are our current accounts, these are all the new accounts. That part they don't do for you. So that's the part that takes time. There's not a pretty way to do it. It's very tedious, as you can see, like you kind of got to start with the funds, and you got to go through the 12 digits with their 125-page book. Now, we've gotten much quicker at it because we've been doing a lot of these and we have a process, but that's the first part that has to happen. Then you send that over, they do a conversion, and it takes, I would say, I've been between 6 to 10 weeks once they get it on back and forth, because you gotta make sure you tie out
And we need to get it started as the deadline is,
September 30th.
yeah, so we need to make a decision. on-
However, there's no penalty at this point.
right.
But I don't know, I don't think
So
I
we got
want
a
to
little
find
wiggle
out,
room.
because we've already paid penalties this year,
Yeah, they have not,
for other things.
there's no consequence to date. So unless that comes on, there's no withholdings or anything like that. I have some large clients in the state that are just like, there's no way we're not doing it. So I don't know what they're gonna do with it long term.
Yeah, I guess we're lucky,
It is the
ours is a little smaller than
Yep.
somebody's,
So
yeah.
this is estimated at 10 grand above our monthly
That
contracted
would be
fee.
like
That's correct.
max. Some of them are going quick and they're easy. There's other ones, like where I've had small communities and we get in and it's like, oh my goodness. Yours looks pretty organized and pretty, I mean, it's easy to follow and it's, you know, there is logic to it. Like it is a justifiable chart of accounts.
So to prepare this for us, everything you've done so far for the last 3 meetings, was that included with what we pay?
That's in your monthly.
That's in
Yeah.
our monthly?
Yeah.
And then to be here to present this to us, is that also covered, or is there additional
It's
fees?
in the monthly and we're only charging you for one of us to be here,
So there is additional for you to be here to
It's
present?
just our hourly, like.
And you guys are doing great, I'm not questioning,
No,
I
it's
just,
just in our hours per month. So the only reason we broke this out is because it's just a different project that's very easy to isolate, like if you want a helper or not,
Yeah,
so.
so I'm sorry to go off on a tangent there.
yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, like, wait a minute,
I would
that's,
suggest we do
where's
it,
that in retirement?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Sorry.
just, yeah.
because otherwise it's gonna bog our office down and,
Well, it's not gonna get cheaper, I don't suppose.
right.
So
Yeah.
this is nothing we can do in-house then?
I sat
I'm
there,
not-
I'm
I'm not
like,
trying to be
Catherine,
funny,
we
I'm
can,
just- in
we
all
can tag
honesty.
team this, we
mean-
can sit there and do it.
Right.
It's-
Yes, but no.
Even if you wanna go through it
No.
and do it, and then you want us to. But
No.
It's very.
Then you're
time-
we're still paying you
After
to
how it
review
was
it.
You're
explained,
not doing your
no,
own job.
Very time consuming.
we don't have the staff for that
We
in-house.
literally, we're like, if we sat down for a whole week and only did it, we might be able to do it.
We might, yeah, exactly,
And then there's the learning curve, and so I don't think
Right.
a week's even enough.
correct.
I would suggest we pay the 10, or not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
Right,
If it's
right.
under, we're not gonna.
Right. Okay, sorry, moving into our retirement.
A lot of additional, I guess, I'm just
Yeah,
getting,
well,
it's a lot
this
of additional
I can
cost
breathe
for
now.
something that's, I
State
mean, not you guys, it's in our clerk's job description or duties to prepare the budget and present it. And if we're paying you guys extra to be here, and again, you guys are doing great, it's nothing against you, why are we paying extra? I mean, if you've prepared it, should you not at least understand it enough to explain it to us and present it like it's written in the duties of the clerk?
Wait, what, I'm sorry, I
It's
missed,
in the ordinance, you're to
Right.
prepare and present
yeah,
the budget, right? So I just, if they've done all the preparation, I would hope that you would understand enough so that you could present it, so we don't have to pay them to be here.
okay, so what are you saying then?
Well,
I'm
that
just
is where
questioning
I
why
asked,
our clerk doesn't understand the budget to present it at this point, and if we're paying additional for them to be here, that's, I don't know, it's, and then now another 10,000, that's just, I don't know, it's just a lot when that's in your job description to do, so.
and that is where we're only being billed for the one. I asked for only one, but
Yeah.
Julie is newer to us, so they said we'd like to send them in pairs.
Again,
So the other one is
you guys are doing great, I'm
being
not
billed.
questioning your abilities, it's just, I wish we were able to do some of this in-house and save
So
some
do I.
funds.
So do I.
Okay. Retirement. Last page, do we have questions, concerns?
The increases in sewer and water, like we said, probably we had retirements, right? Is that why there's an increase there? Oh, no,
Yeah,
that's the
follow what
active,
you're
I'm sorry.
saying.
So what we're projecting by the end of the year, it's pretty close, never mind.
Okay. Why why is OPEB, not projected past? Am I not understanding that?
Why have I not seen
For two,
it? Just saw it.
So on a positive note, though, the state has put aside money for also putting down the mandate that people need to be, or municipalities, 60% or more funded for their OPEB, of where we are not close. So I am going to be reaching out and trying to fulfill all of the requirements to grab a grant there. So fingers crossed I can get everything in by the end of June for that.
That'd be nice.
It'd be very nice. It's a lot. I mean, it capped it out at, I want to say you could ask for like 93 million, of which we'll ask appropriately. But yeah, it was, Catherine was quite surprised when I brought it, like, look what the state just
Yeah, no kidding.
started to offer.
Like, that makes no sense.
If it's not gonna happen this year, what about, do we go anywhere with that time study? Is that something we can work into this next budget if we're not gonna get it done now? Would that-
I'm sorry, I'm not
The
following.
time study, was that something that's happening?
I thought we were looking for
Yeah, I need to.
quotes.
Yeah, I need to get the RFP finalized.
Yeah, so is that something we should work into? I mean, I know we're done with this, where would it work into the overall
Contracted?
under? village
Contracted
hall and
services.
grounds? Maybe we need to figure that into that, but that would be the only other odd thing that I could think of.
So for me to understand,
Which one we have?
I'm going way back, sorry,
Okay.
to 101. Because I thought I would find it and I didn't. Under village council, the village president has a salary, which is obviously the 3,700. Where does the rest of the salary fall? Under what category? Or is that under,
That's right underneath
Right
it.
below it, the
I
salary.
think it's right underneath it, yeah. It's like, it might even,
okay,
that's where I saw it.
salary full-time, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Which is, basically from the old administrator that we used to have.
Yeah, okay.
That's when the village president worked 4 or 5 hours a month. Now they work 40 hours a week plus. So
Okay.
adjustments had to be made. I think this way is much better.
You got anything else?
Oh, anything
say,
else? I'm sorry, I didn't know if we were still on the,
Yeah.
I will look at it, I think it's how the transfers happened last year, I think you had fund balance and you were maybe transferring from one fund to your OPEB or federal healthcare. But I think it's in the actual transfers that are coming in, so we can keep it that and make sure that it's right, that there's not a transfer in there.
Okay.
Cause I think it's in the funds.
That's what I was wondering, is it just hidden? I know that sometimes it's put in a different spot and that I'm just not seeing it here, so I'm
I don't know.
concerned and not understanding.
Not transfer, and
it?
then we'll move it, we just took it from the fund.
Okay. And it's gonna do that going forward, so we won't see this fund
Salary.
like this any,
Well,
in a few
This
years.
is still doing the
Oh, a couple meetings ago,
right,
you
but
were-
then like the
that's-
transfer out, and
I'm fine.
Okay.
I think it was a citizen that was concerned about it.
Okay.
And she asked me to read the letter.
Okay.
Okay.
Because back then, there was thought that it had gone back to a part-time job, but still collecting full-time pay.
So do they have a clear understanding now?
I'm assuming they do.
Right.
I do.
Okay, if I mean, we'll figure it out and we'll
Yeah.
touch base.
It's just the fund is a kind of conduit and it's keeping it break even, so you can just stay around the fund and not
Okay. Okay,
As long as she's putting in the
makes
hours.
good.
No problem with it.
Okay, if we're all set, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yay.
9:13 PM.